Bijan breaks the curse. Texas volleyball takes care of business against West Virginia, and Saquon Barkley silences the doubters with a strong comeback. You won't want to miss this one. It's another outstanding episode of College Press Box. Welcome in. I'm Clark Dalton, joined alongside Tommy Yarrish. Tommy, you excited for tonight?
Always excited, my friend.
Love to hear it. This past Saturday, Texas had some frogs to flop. For the past 8 years, Gary Patterson's TCU team has been a thorn in the Longhorn side, winning 6 of the last 7 matchups. The last time Texas won in Fort Worth was 2013. It's fair to say a victory would not only improve Big 12 prospects, but settle a score. Could Sark get the job done and grab his first major road victory? Let's head to A&G Carter Stadium to find out. And we're going to start this one from the top of the game, and Texas fans are saying, uh-oh, not again, because J.D. Spellman is taking it all the way from the TCU end zone down to the Texas 10-yard line. Zach Evans is going to power through the defense on a jet sweep, giving the Horned Frogs a 7-0 lead early at the top of the first quarter. Evans and Bijan Robinson have been longtime rivals, and Bijan is going to respond, saying, welcome to my neighborhood, where we have 27-yard touchdown runs that put the Longhorns up 10-7. First quarter had a lot of fireworks. TCU had 3 turnovers. Here's one right here. Deshaun Jameson, you can't use that trickery on me. He picks up the fumble. That sets up a Cameron Dicker field goal. Max Duggan later on in the first quarter, scrambling around, looking, fires to Spellman. He's going to reach across the goal line. Fumbles doesn't matter. That puts up TCU up 14-13 later on. Bijan slipping through the defense, getting his second touchdown. Casey Thompson with a rare error here, throwing it deep into triple coverage. Just trying to force it to Xavier Worthy, not there, rare mistake. But this is where the tide turns. Boom! Anthony Cook forces the fumble, picks it up, and that sets up an opportunity for Texas. Casey fires deep downfield. Jordan Whittington with the catch of the year candidate. Look at that. The defender was draped all over him. Casey wants a little more from Whittington. He's going to gallop into the end zone here to put Texas up 32-20 in the fourth quarter. But the Horned Frogs are hanging around, unfortunately. Kendra Miller being a pest, getting in the end zone. It's 32-27. Texas needs something, but truly B.A. Bijan astounding, powering through the whole team right here. Look at it. It took like 11 TCU players to tackle him. Texas wins this one 32-27. Bijan Robinson was absolutely spectacular. He had 35 carries, 216 yards, which was a career high, 2 touchdowns. Casey made a lot of plays with his legs. Jordan Whittington continues to be the leading wide receiver. Deshaun Jameson, DeMarvion Overshawn, Luke Brockermeyer, all keeping it real on defense. But Anthony Cook was definitely the star, had those 6 tackles and that forced fumble, and Cameron Dicker was perfect from field goal range. Texas is now 4-1, headed into Red River. For more on Bijan making a strong Heisman case, let's toss it over to Emmy Bassnett in Fort Worth.
This past Saturday, the Horned Frogs and the Longhorns battled it out at the A&G Carter Stadium in Fort Worth, Texas. This one is personal for the Longhorns, as TCU has had their number for years, winning 6 of the last 7 meetings in this in-state rivalry.
In the Battle of the Horns, the University of Texas took the win over Texas Christian University here in Fort Worth, 32-27, with a notable performance from running back Bijan Robinson, who rushed for over 216 yards, had 2 touchdowns, and 35 carries throughout the game. His teammate DeMarvion Overshawn calls him the best running back in college football.
You know, it's always fun to see it get done to somebody else. We go against Bijan every day at practice, so it's only making us better as a defense. So I'm glad I get to sit on the sideline and watch him do what he do to us at practice.
Although the team was able to secure the win, it was anything but a perfect game for the Longhorns. Casey Thompson looked shaky in the first half, nearly throwing 2 picks. And when the Horns forced 2 turnovers, they were not able to execute a scoring play on either drive. While Dicker saw a lot more action this game as opposed to the beginning of the season, head coach Steve Sarkisian voiced his takeaways from the Horns' shaky start.
Our team didn't panic, and our team continued to respond. This was not a pretty game by any means. There's a bunch for us to work on and to get better at for individuals and for collectively as a team and for us as coaches. But in the end, we fought, we battled, we competed.
Next week, the Horns will face OU in the historic Red River Showdown. Quarterback Casey Thompson from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, nearly committed to OU before choosing Texas. However, he assures everyone that this won't impact the way he views this game.
You know, we have to be prepared to play 4 quarters of winning football. No matter what that looks like, we can't make predictions about the game or focus on the crowd. And me personally, I can't focus on my story or my background or family history. I'm just focused on playing, an OU football team that has a really good defense. And so I'll try to do the best that I can, focus on that and just kind of blocking out any outside noise.
It was truly Bijan Robinson's game against TCU. Texas will have yet another 11 a.m. start against OU on Saturday, October 9th. From Amon G. Carter Stadium in Fort Worth, I'm Emmy Basnett, TSTV Sports.
And to talk about the Longhorns' win over the Horned Frogs on Saturday, we bring in Jordan Geelhoed. Jordan, thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm delighted to be here.
We saw Texas struggle on the road at Arkansas a few weeks ago, and they struggled again on Saturday at TCU, but came out with a victory. Do you think playing away from home is becoming a problem for the Longhorns?
Oh, absolutely. It has been and will continue to be a problem. I think that playing an away game under normal circumstances is challenging enough as it is, but this season is different for the Longhorns, especially against Big 12 opponents. Hostile environment isn't strong enough to describe what we saw in Fort Worth and what we're going to keep seeing for the rest of the season. Texas has been a notoriously hated program outside of Austin for years, and now that the school has made the decision to leave the Big 12 in favor of the greener pastures of the SEC, schools are going to be out for blood. Constant booing and heckling and horns down has already been the norm when playing outside of DKR, but the Longhorns should expect for it to be turned up to 11 this season.
Absolutely great answer there. And Bijan Robinson, who was such a big part of that game, had his first career 200-yard rushing game to go along with 2 touchdowns. Clearly the best offensive player for Texas, kind of showing that as he's been all year. What is it about Bijan that gives this Texas offense so much life?
While I love that Bijan Robinson is a true workhorse running back and is so clearly the best player on this Texas offense, I think that Coach Sark has to be careful not to overwork him. On Saturday, Robinson had career highs in carries with 35 and in yards with 216. And while he proved that he was more than capable handling that usage, averaging 6.2 yards per carry and notching 2 touchdowns, it's obvious that he was exhausted late in the game. He probably was in an ice bath all day yesterday. I think that the offense could do a better job of mixing in some Roschon Johnson and some Keelan Robinson, who are 2 more very capable backs that Texas has, to bear some of the brunt of his massive workload. Now, I'm not saying I want to see less Bijan Robinson. I don't think anyone has ever said that. But I also don't think he needs 35 carries every game either. I think in order to maximize his ability and in order to maximize the impact he has on the offense, give the man a much-deserved breather from time to time.
Absolutely. You don't want to become too predictable offensively like we saw against Arkansas, where it's just give Bijan the ball every play. Moving on to next week, we all know what this next week is. It's Red River Week, OU, Texas, the biggest rivalry in the country. What's going to have to happen on Saturday for the Longhorns to come away with their first victory over the Sooners since 2018?
I think that Texas has to prepare their offense for an air raid. Oklahoma's defense isn't particularly impressive, but UT doesn't exactly scare you on defense either, especially in the secondary. Red River games are often an offensive shootout, and I believe that this one will end up that way as well, with as good as both of these 2 offenses are. Now, Spencer Rattler and the Sooners have actually been somewhat disappointing this season based on how hyped up they were in the preseason, but make no mistake, they're still a high-powered unit who have outpaced every opponent they played so far this year. But also, they haven't really faced a Texas quality team. You know, they barely beat Kansas State, they barely beat Tulane. The only teams they blew out were the bottom of the barrel. I think that Texas is going to have to try and outpace them in order to win, because I don't think the defense can stop them. And that means that Cece Thompson, Bijan Robinson, Whittington, and Worthy, and that offensive line are all going to have to be at the top of their game. So I would prepare for a gutsy, high-scoring affair.
Absolutely. Big one coming up this week. Thank you for joining us, Jordan. Coming up next, we'll talk about the #1 ranked Texas volleyball team as the Longhorns picked up their first 2 conference games this past week. Don't go anywhere. You're watching College Press Box. Welcome back to College Press Box. We're going to head over to Gregory Gymnasium as the West Virginia Mountaineers travel down to Austin to take on the undefeated Texas Longhorns volleyball team at home to start off conference play. Let's take a look at some of the highlights from Friday night. We start off in the first set. Longhorns down by 1, but not for long. An ace to start it off makes it 2-2. Very next play. Logan Eggleston with a spike over the middle, 4-3 Texas. Sidney Peterson then, a rocket over the net. West Virginia can't handle it. That's another ace for Texas. 10-5 in the first set, and the team leader in kills, Eggleston, adds another, putting up the Longhorns by 6. A few plays later, second ace of the game for Osai. She would go on to have 3 on the night. And then how about these 2 plays to end off the first set? Another kill there from Eggleston, and then set point. Mountaineers trying to mount a comeback. Not going to happen. Molly Phillips and Breon Butler combining for the block there. Early in the second set, yet another ace for Melanie Parra. She has 22 on the year. And then late in the second set, another nice 2 plays. Eggleston once again the kill in the back corner. And then on set point, it's a quick tip over the middle. And then late third set, our final highlight is going to be Sage Torres. Texas goes on to win 25-21 in 3 sets. They move on 11-0 on the season and 2-0 in conference play.
We now welcome on our volleyball connoisseur, Cece Rodriguez. Cece, how's it going?
It's doing good. Happy to be here.
Glad to hear it. And even though the Horns got a win, there were still 1 or 2 hiccups in their matchup against West Virginia. What did they struggle with?
Well, obviously there was some service errors, but the main part that Texas struggled with in this matchup was strong, consistent passing. Their passing was kind of subpar, and West Virginia found a way to capitalize on it by getting and locating their weak spots. However, the real issue that Texas needs to take care of is getting over their third set slump. They need to find a way to get that momentum and stay on their side instead of letting their opponents nip at their heels in the third set.
Absolutely. It's one of those things where late game momentum is so important. And that third set, it's come back to bite Texas in the past. We've seen that in the NCAA tournament where they've really struggled. And again, the service errors got to get resolved at some point. This is an issue we've been talking about for so long. And if you want a national championship, you got to do that. But they definitely have the talent to win a national championship. CC, for years, we've talked about stars like Logan Eggleston and Breon Butler. But they're not the only parts of a strong foundation. Who's the backbone of this stellar Texas team?
While I agree that these Texas hitters are essential to this team, credit needs to be given to Texas libero Nolani Osea. She has been the backbone to this Texas defense this season. With 147 digs on the season and 43 assists total, she is helping this defense stay strong as they go into conference play.
Yeah, liberos, especially a good one, is so important because they're kind of that undersized, scrappy player on the team, and they just provide that defensive presence. But you know what? They provide the heart every time, and Osea, she has that in spades. And they're going to need her down the stretch because, yes, Texas is a Big 12 favorite, but anyone can sneak in and catch you off guard. Which team should Texas be on the watch for as they get deeper into conference play?
Well, as we saw, West Virginia came to Austin with a mission to compete well against this #1 team. But as Texas gets further into conference play, they're going to need to be on the watch for teams like Kansas and Iowa State and be mentally and physically prepared for that. Although, as we go further into conference play, Baylor is a team to watch out for in the Big 12.
Yeah, we know that every year it kind of feels like this now. The main course in Big 12 volleyball, it's Baylor and it's Texas. This is the Baylor team that got to the Final Four in 2019. Texas got to the national championship last year. Both are talented. It's going to come down to those matchups in Waco and Austin. Hopefully for Horns fans, they can prevail, but I think they can do it against a talented Baylor team. Cece, thank you so much. Great stuff.
You.
And when we come back, he's coming home. Tom Brady makes his return to Foxborough. Stick around. You definitely want to catch this one. Welcome back to College Press Box. It's always a big week in the NFL, but this past Sunday gave us a little treat that we had been waiting for. Brady versus Bill on Sunday Night Football. For that and more, we dish it over to Jacob Campos on Unhooked.
Thanks, Clark. Well, it was another exciting Sunday in the NFL this past weekend. To recap some of the games of this week, Atlanta blew another lead, Justin Fields got his first career win for Chi-Town, and Big Ben continued to show that Father Time remains undefeated. But before we jump into the highlights, let's take a moment to give some love to the team that really needed a win. J-E-T-S, Jets, getting their first win of the season and probably their only one. Big time for Zach Wilson. Let's take it over to the jungle. Over in the jungle, Trevor Lawrence early on is going to scramble for 11 yards, pick up a big first down. Continuing on with this drive, Trevor, he's going to go ahead and find Dan Arnold. Arnold's going to run all the way down, take it inside the 10, set the Jags for the first touchdown of the game. Trevor is going to run it in for 8 yards. Jags are going to go up 14 heading into half. Now, in the second half, Joe's going to fire a laser to Jamar Chase just like it's 2019 and pick up a big 44 yards. Joey B one more time is going to roll out. He's going to find CJ Uzomah. Uzomah's going to go on the run. He's going to break 1 tackle. He's going to break 2, pound it in for 7. Now later on the fourth, Joey to Jamar. Just like that, get a big first down. Then, Joe Burrow. He's going to go ahead and come out of the pocket, just try to find anybody. He's looking downfield. He's scrambling. He's going to fire. He's going to find Uzma. Uzma's going to run it in. Bam, second touchdown of the game. 21-21, we got a tie ball game. Then Joey. Uzma, taking it down for 25, going to set it up big. The Bengals are going to go ahead and go on to win 24-21. Let's head over to the LA for the battle of the undefeated. Now, in Los Angeles, Matt Stafford, early on in the first, is going to go ahead and try to fire up a deep ball. He's going to roll out. Unfortunately, bam, he's going to get picked off by Byron Jr. Cardinals are going to go ahead and try to take advantage of this momentum. Kyler Murray, not wanting to waste his chance, he's going to roll out. He's going to fire a deep shot. Boom! AJ Green, just like it's 2013, 7-3, trying to revamp his career. On the ensuing drive, though, however, Stafford, roll out, Van Jefferson, just like that, they're going to go up 10-7. What's going to happen next, though? How about another scoring drive? Kyler Murray takes a snap, going to have a nice little ball over the top. Touchdown, Max Williams. Folks, we might have a shootout on our hands here today. However, then, Kyler, he's going to go ahead. He's going to run out. He's going to start to scramble. He's going to keep it going all the way out to the sideline for a nice 18-yard pickup to set up this nice little run for James Conner. Going to pound it in for the touchdown for a quick 6. However, then the struggles began for Matt Stafford. Incompletion on third down. Then, Matt Stafford, 3rd and goal. Incompletion, unfortunately. And then, one more time, just for good measure, Matt Stafford, incompletion. For the Rams, they're needing to get out of this slump. However, the misery will continue. Matt Gay, missed field goal. Game stays at 27-13. James Conner, one more time, pounding up the middle, second touchdown of the game. It's over at this point, folks. Matt Stafford just going to fire up a quick garbage time touchdown to Robert Woods. That will do it. 37-13. The Rams will lose. The Cardinals move on to 4-0, becoming one of only 2 undefeated teams left in the NFL. Let's go ahead and wrap it up tonight over in Foxborough, where Tom Brady returns home. Early on in the first, Tom looking to set the NFL all-time passing record. Fire up a nice ball to Mike Evans. Mike will fight for every single yard. Just like that, you have a new passing yards leader. Sorry about that, Drew Brees. It's pretty unfortunate. Near the end of quarter 1, Jones tipped past Aguilar, picked up by Anton Winfield Jr. However, the Tampa Bay cannot do anything with that, missing this field goal. Game stays at 3-0. Then Mack, he's in a search. Nice little ball over the top. Hunter Henry, 7-3 in the Pats' favor. Near the end of the third, Brady leads the Tampa Bay Buccaneers downfield, only to have Ronald Jones finish it off on this nice drive and this nice touchdown run. Mac Jones takes over. Nice little first down pickup to Nelson Aguilar. Mac Jones one more time. He's going to look. He's going to find N'Keal Harry for another first down conversion. Then Mac Jones one more time. Bold, a nice little screenplay. He's going to take it all the way down to the 1. Mac dishing it out. He's going to find Jonnu Smith. It's 14-13. Ryan Suckup with the big kick. It's going to be 19-17 heading into the end of the game. Now with 2 minutes left, or excuse me, sub 2 minutes left, Mac Jones on third down. Pass will be batted at the line of scrimmage. Are they going to go for it, or are they actually going to go ahead and kick a field goal? They decide to kick it from 56 yards in rainy weather. Oh, hits the left upright, no good. Tampa Tom is going to escape with a narrow victory. Just like that, gets his revenge over Bill Belichick. Now, in a season where only 2 teams remain unbeaten and the Cowboys might actually be legit contenders, it was refreshing to get a reminder of the way things used to be. Sunday primetime, high-stakes game with Tom Brady, the undisputed champion, walking out of Foxborough with a win. That is going to be this week's episode of Unhooked. I'm going to send it back to you, Tommy and Clark.
Thank you, and when we come back on College Press Box, we'll take a look at this upcoming week in Longhorn Sports. We all know what week it is. You won't want to miss it.
Welcome back to College Press Box. We're entering the home stretch in preparation for Red River. I'm like a little kid on Christmas. I'm so excited for this week. And you know why? This Saturday, the Cotton Bowl will not only host Red River, but College Game Day. This is the 7th time Game Day chose the Cotton Bowl as its primary site. It's the first time Texas OU has been the main game since 2018. Texas is 10-7 on Game Day appearances with wins over the Sooners in 2008 and 2009. Game Day will air 3 hours before kickoff. Set locations will be revealed on TexasSports.com. And remember, it's free for the public, so you can show up and be loud.
This past Sunday, the Longhorn soccer team picked up a win over Texas Tech 1-0, putting them at the top of the Big 12 Conference board ahead of Baylor 10 points to 9. They will head into this week playing against Iowa State, looking to stay atop of that leaderboard, and they'll play at home on Friday at 7 p.m.
Texas softball erupted like a volcano this past Sunday. The Longhorns destroyed Texas Lutheran 18-1. The Longhorns tallied 21 hits. 7 of them gained extra bases. Junior Mackenzie Parker led the team with 4 RBIs. Logan Hulan, solid on the mound, had 5 strikeouts in her start. They faced Texas State this Sunday.
Lastly, let's take a look ahead into this week in Longhorn Sports. A lot of tennis action starting on Monday as the women's tennis team will take on UTSA in the Women's International Tennis Foundation Monday through Sunday, and the Intercollegiate Tennis Association's All-American team from Monday to Sunday as well. On Friday, softball will host their 3rd game of the season against Grayson College. You can catch that at 4:30, and soccer takes on Iowa State at 7 on Longhorn Network. Saturday, we all know what happens at 11 a.m. It's Texas OU Red River. Catch that on ABC, and make sure to watch College Game Day beforehand. Later on in the day after the game, you can watch volleyball take on Kansas to continue Big 12 play. That's at 4 p.m. on the Big 12 Network, which is now on ESPN+. Moving on to Sunday, softball taking on Texas State, as Clark just mentioned, at 2 p.m. And then volleyball will play Kansas once again at 3 p.m. You can watch that one on ESPNU. That's going to do it for this week's episode of College Press Box. Make sure to check out College Crossfire this Wednesday at 9 p.m. and Texas Countdown at 10 a.m. on Saturday. Be sure to follow us on Instagram and Twitter at TSTV Sports. I'm Tommy Yarrish alongside Clark Dalton. On behalf of everyone in the studio and Master Control, thank you for watching and good night.